we're embarking on Fingerboard Geography today. And that's a topic that's been around for a long time in different guises since violin was being taught. What is everybody's understanding of what fingerboard geography is? I think that's always the question. What is it? What's the definition of it? Anybody have any ideas? Yeah, go ahead.
I think of it as an internal map of where things are on the fingerboard in every position, and the relationships among the notes,
Right. Yeah.
like keys or chords or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Anybody else? Sums it up for me. You know, to know where everything is, so that we can best utilize the fingerboard. And as I said before, it's not a new concept, but and it's one we teach all the time. But it's not necessarily one that we teach in any kind of particular cohesive manner. We do it as we go along. We say, you know, you need to know where that note is, and it goes in relation to another note. And so I prepared this packet to kind of guide us through the topic. I started out with some various pictures of the fingerboard that are out there, and there are many more, I'm sure, on the internet, of course, is so fantastic now compared to when I was, you know, preparing things before for classes. And I think I'll hold them up too, so the camera can pick up, at least in principle, what they are. This first one, this comes from the Robert Gurr book, Practicing the Violin, The Art of Practicing the Violin. And it's just a picture of a grid-like picture of the fingerboard, which covers, you know, pretty much everything you would play. This is another picture here, the one you have in your packet, which is a photocopy from this little device that I bought years ago called Fingertips. And that you can put on your fingerboard if you want. So it's kind of like having tapes, but no colors. And so you can just stick that right on the fingerboard.
Because it stays in place?
Yeah, it stays in place, right. I've never used it that way, but that's the idea.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where do they have those?
Well, I think you just find them on the internet
Maybe
now.
Char or
I
something
probably
like
got
that.
them from Char or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's, I've never used it, but I think it's nice to have as a reference for students. This one you can get on the web now. I just found this in preparing for today's forum. Fingerboard Workbook Series.com. And I can't remember the woman's name.
Would that be
Who organized it. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed her two-part video on teaching the beginning of understanding half steps and whole steps.
Say the name again, Judy?
I think it's Diane Allen.
Yes, that's
I've
right.
been to many,
Right.
using a lot of the videos for students lately.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Handy. Really handy. Yeah. I think watching videos, sending students to the web, I think is a fantastic tool. You know, there's only so much time in the lessons, right? So, and it seems that sometimes people are wanting to move faster than you have the time to move in the lesson. So, if you can spur things along by going to the web like that, I think it'd be really useful. And then here's another one that's enharmonic and chromatic in the first position. You know, and all these are in the packet. So just to kind of start off fingerboard. Now, I was struck by these videos I saw. You said it was Deborah Allen?
I think it's Diane Allen.
Diane Allen. On the web. And this is her material here. And I don't know, how many people ever find themselves backpedaling in lessons?
Yeah. In how many different ways?
You know, you have in mind where you're going to go, and then you realize that you missed a step or 8. Even though we've done it a zillion times. Because every student's different, right? So it's, you know, you're expecting that they might just pick up on something. And sometimes they do and they surprise you and then you've covered that. And you can use that. And then other times you go, oh wow, I guess, right, we're playing the third finger, but we didn't talk about where it goes in relation to something else. And then you
It's
have to
also
back.
interesting when you get a transfer student, which I get a lot,
Yeah.
and they seem to know things. But anyway,
Right, that's correct. And a big part of the initial learning with a new student and a new student from another teacher is figuring out what they know and what they don't know. And I always tell them, if I give you materials and I take it back, it's my fault, not your fault, because I'm just trying to discover what you know. So if we look at this next thing called the keyboard fingerboard chart, I really enjoyed how she did the video in using the piano keyboard.
can you just hold that up so we know?
I sure can.
Yeah.
So that's this one here. And so you notice you have the notes, first position here, and then you have the fingerboard grid, and then you have the keyboard down here. And it was quite nice how she basically explained that the half steps are close together and the black notes make the fingers far apart, and that if you take that keyboard and you kind of turn it vertically, that essentially is what the string is like. And I thought that that was good. She also said if you could spread these out and put the black keys in between the white keys visually, that you can turn that, and then it looks like the grid that we're used to having, right? So I thought that was great, and the idea of getting that information about not just saying, yes, our fingers are close together, or our fingers are far apart, or we're singing a song, or the person is learning the song by rote, whatever the way it is that we're teaching, but to really try to explain it as thoroughly as possible, or early on, and going to the piano and playing the notes, and singing the notes, and saying the notes out loud. And a good time for doing that, I find, is when I'm teaching the bow hold and how to hold violin, because there's time there. There's time there to rest between doing windshield wiper and the marching band and everything else we're doing, the monkey bar. There's time to take a rest from that and go to the piano, start talking about that stuff right away. Okay? So you can also, I don't know, what do other people do in terms of that initial step? Do they usually take that step, or is it down the road?
I mean,
Teaching about
comparing
half
keyboard-
steps and whole steps, and yeah, and
Day one.
right, you do it from day one.
Well, the first time you're putting a finger down, yeah.
Mhm. Right, right. And so until they put the finger down,
Oh,
which is a while, you
yeah.
can be already talking about it,
Oh.
right? Or, you know, so that they're just like a preview piece that you know, so many of you do so well, and you preview that ahead of time, and then they've got some inkling of what to do when you get there. So you're ahead of the game at that point. Are we ever ahead of the game?
one step ahead of the students.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you know, whatever your style is, whether it's verbal or visual or oral or kinesthetic, it's to say, you know, more focused on the physical motions and sensations. I think doing this early on is good. And here's another example of something that I got off her website. Was she has these charts, and so if you are playing a piece and you want to simply draw the notes and have this visual aid, then you can pick a key, have the number of sharps or flats right here, and then you have your notes already lined up. Whether or not you have a high two, if you've been, you know, doing your A major songs at the beginning or your D major songs. Okay. And I included one of those in the packet, just a blank one, so you can photocopy that or go to her site and copy them and utilize that. I think it's actually pretty handy. Seems so simple, but it's just another thing that we probably haven't gotten around to, and it's nice somebody else has for us.